Let's talk a few minutes. We got a few minutes. Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21. And we'll read only one verse of Proverbs 21. That will be verse 5. It is all stand on our feet as it is customary here that we stand on our feet in reverence of God's word. Proverbs 21 and verse 5. We will read verse 5 of Proverbs 21. If you dare say amen, do not say, hold on, Pastor. Trying to get there. Proverbs 21, verse 5. And it reads, the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. You see that? The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. You may be seated in the house of the Lord if you can. I want to talk just for a few minutes to our kids and to our parents. My destiny awaits me. My destiny awaits me. Oftentimes in our homes, our kids are now growing up in party home. It's sad to say that they're either living with mom or they're living with dad.
Right now.
It used to be years ago that our kids had a two-parent home. But now these days, they no longer living in two-parent homes. That's not a downgrade or a degrade on anybody where I'm going with this. But where I'm going with this is we need to be in the hand of God more so, because our kids are no longer living in a two-parent home these days. They're either living with father or living with mother. And regardless of who they're living with, as long as father or mother are in the hands of God, then our kids ought to be brought up in the right way. Even though our kids are growing up in separate homes, it does not make you any less of a man or a woman if you have a relationship with the other party when it comes to your children. Listen, I believe that if you had kids together,
all right,
if you're together or not, There should be a relationship between mama and dad when it comes to raising the child, no matter if the child lives with dad or whether the child lives with mom. If y'all have a child together, you ought to be able to come together, if and at one with the child themselves, to raise them up in the way that they ought to come up. Well, maybe that's where I need to go with, Reverend. Maybe I need to work on that just a few minutes. Maybe I need to work on the relationship between dad and mom about the child. Wow. Well, let me move on. I ain't letting nobody business today. Pastor will try to move on. I ain't letting nobody business. My destiny awaits. Proverbs 21:5. This proverb was written by a young man called Solomon. Solomon was the son of King David. Solomon grew up, and God had embraced and blessed Solomon and asked Solomon, what do you want with me? What do you require from me? And Solomon could have asked anything from God, but what he asked from God was he asked for wisdom to lead his people. When we are talking with God, a lot of times we as parents, mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, we come to God and we talk to God and we ask God for certain things. But one of the things that we really ought to be asking God for is we ought to be asking God for wisdom on how to raise our children up. Because the Bible told us to raise them up in the nurture and admonition of God. Train up a child the way they should go, and when they get old, they will not depart from it. Too often times we got fathers, we got mothers that are not training our children the way they ought to be training them up, and then consequently we are not preparing them for life. One of the things we got to understand, we got to allow our children to know is their actions are important. Your actions are important. What you do, where you go, who you hang with, who you run with, what you do when you're running with folks, what you do, your actions are important. That's why as parents, as grandparents, we got to be careful who our kids are running with, because if your kids are running with somebody that makes them no good, they can be at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, and then they get in trouble. Why? Because they're in the wrong place and we don't know where our kids are. Our actions are important. Right. What you do in school is important. Yeah. Well, it's in this text what he says. He says, the plans of the diligent, they lead surely to plenty. When you plan your direction, when you plan the thing that you're going to do, even as parents, when you plan the thing that you're going to do in life, the Bible declares that you surely will have plenty. Who makes financial planning at the house? Who makes a budget at the house? Well, y'all didn't think Pastor was going that high. When you plan, then you have to make budgets. You got to know, how much money am I spending on food? How much money am I going to spend on my car note? How much money am I going to spend on my house note? And so when we plan that way, we can plan with our children. Listen, we ain't buying no $150 shoes for you. Right. Ooh. Man, I got to hear this. I don't hear about this, is going to get in trouble. Oh my goodness. It says, watch this, the plans of the diligent lead to surely plenty. When good planning is combined with, you got to be diligent. What does diligent mean? Diligent means that I'm going to attack this every direction and every way I can to be what all I can be. And parents, grandparents, we have to teach our kids that when they are diligent in what they're doing, that they can accomplish anything that they want to accomplish in their lives. We got to quit telling our kids that they're not going to be anything. We have to build our kids up and let them know that you can do whatever you can do if you put your mind to it and if you're diligent at work. Now watch this, diligent don't mean that when I come home from school, I'm playing video games from the time I get home until I go to bed. That's not diligence. Wow. Rev said we got some playing on the phone. Put the phones up. When my actions are important, then that means that what I do makes a difference in my life. I was watching a TV show, and they had a young man. He was a driver of a vehicle that another person got killed from another person in the vehicle. The police charged the young man that was driving, even though he wasn't the one that shot the gun. The reason why they charged him was that he was with them that did the wrong. All right. Our actions are important. Who you hang with and who you run with makes a difference in your life. If you're running with somebody that's up to no good, I'd advise you to take yourself and remove yourself away from them people and don't hang with them no more. And parents, you ought to know who your kids are running with. Amen. We couldn't run with just no anybody. You know why? Because mama knew everybody. Anybody grew up in the house where mama knew everybody? Mama say, who is that? What's your last name? And then mama will call you in the house. You better not run with them people. Y'all remember that? You better not run with them people. I don't want to catch you with them people no more because I know those people family. Mama didn't let you run with people that she didn't know. Mama didn't let you run with people. And then when you was down the street, I told you before, and you was doing stuff you didn't have no business. Sister Sally down the street, she called mama and told mama what you was doing, and she took care of you. And then when you got home, mama took care of you. We don't have village raising kids anymore. And that's why our kids are going astray. Our actions are important, and we're not teaching our kids enough that what you do is important in your life. Well, let me move on. Not only our actions, but we must be a word called assiduous in all our ways. What does that word mean? That means that when I'm assiduous, that means I show great care, attention, and effort in what I'm doing. Too often times we allow our kids to just do anything and we accept it. What do you mean, Pastor? Well, when I grew up in the house, I told you before, you couldn't go to bed and they had dishes in the sink. All right now. All right now. Mama would wake you up and tell you to go get that kitchen clean like I told you to clean it before you went to bed. Too often times we allow our kids to do whatever they want to do and we accept whatever they want to do. Ain't no kid gonna come into my house 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and tell me what they gonna do. And if you scare your kids, you got a big problem already. All right. Because 12 years old ain't gonna tell me what they gonna do and what they not gonna do. 13 years old, matter of fact, if you living in my house at 5690, you ain't gonna tell me what you ain't and ain't gonna do. You ain't grown until you move out of the house. And in my house, you had chores. In my house, you had things that you needed to do. And if you didn't do them, then that means you had a talk from daddy. You had a talk from mama because I'm not going to accept just no anything. Son, why that trash ain't taken out before trash day? Why that trash ain't put out to the street? What's wrong with you? You know you should empty the trash the night before, and so you can get the trash out at the time it needs to be got out. What's going on with you? Why your bed ain't fixed in the morning? You should get up and time up and fix your bed. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about my house. Maybe your bed stay messed up at your house because you let it stay messed up at your house. When you got up at my house, you fixed that bed before you went to school. And we didn't have a conversation at the house about you cleaning your room. Ooh, man. I see some parents looking around. You might have to do some back checking going on at the house if you having them conversations. That means that I'm showing great care. That means that we can't accept anything from our kids. When my kids would do their homework, Sister Kathy, let me see what you're doing. That don't look right. Got too much scribble scratch on it. Go redo it. Because we have nothing but excellence in this house. Parents, grandparents, we got to expect excellence from our kids, because if we don't expect excellence from them, we are putting them into the world that they won't be able to be successful in, because the world don't accept anything from them. Oh my goodness. Let me get out of here. I might need some help out of here today, bro. All right. Assiduous. I'm showing great care. Attention to detail, attention to effort. Proverbs 14:23 says, in all talk there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. He says, in all work at hand, there's a profit to it. But anybody can talk. Old folks who say mouth say anything. Huh? Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human master. So we as parents, even as parents on our job, we got to work as though we're not working what we say for the man. We got to work because our reflection should show Christ in all our work. And if the man looks good while we're reflecting Christ, so be it. But I'm not really working for men. I'm working because I want to reflect Christ in my life. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. I remember when I was a young whippersnapper. I'm still a young whippersnapper. I'm talking about when I was a little bit younger. Stop laughing ever since you were my stepdad used to have me out there cutting grass. All right now. And there's a certain way you cut grass. You make that square circle. You know what I'm talking about? That? You go around and you throw the grass outside of the lawnmower. That way you didn't clog the lawnmower up. You didn't cut across the grass because that made the grass look a certain way. Well, where I'm going with this? Where I'm going with this is we don't even teach our kids how to cut grass no more. All right. We got folks we pay to cut our grass. I wish I grew up at a time, Brother Walter, where they had folks who we paid to cut our grass. Why I'm going to pay somebody to cut my grass when I got an able-bodied laying in the bed sleeping? My last point, my abundance is there for the taking. My abundance is there for the taking. Not only are my actions important, but I must be assiduous or may take great care and attention. But my abundance, when I take great care and great attention, the abundance is there for my taking. Abundance means it is existing or occurring in large amounts. When we teach our kids that abundance is yours when you're doing what God says do, then that means that what they need will be there for them at the time that they need. The Bible declares that my God shall supply all our needs according to his riches and glory. And when our kids were at home, we would teach our kids that you got to work for what you want. Too often times we give our kids and they don't have to work for what they want. And so they think the more you give them, the more kids want. We got to teach them and train them that you got to work for what you give. Because it didn't come to you free. You get up every morning, you go to work, you get a paycheck, and you bring your paycheck home. Why are we teaching our kids that things are free when we know things are not free? up for success when we're trying to teach them that you can get something for nothing. Deuteronomy 28:11 says, the Lord will grant you abundant prosperity in the fruit of your womb, the young of your livestock, and the crops of your ground, in the land he swore to our ancestors to give you. Proverbs 3:9-10 says, honor the Lord with your wealth and the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord makes a person rich, and he has no sorrow to it. We have to teach our kids that when we get blessings from God, God don't add no sorrow to his blessing. In other words, what he's saying is that when God blesses you, you ain't got to worry about where it came from. Well, maybe that's a problem. Maybe our kids are seeing way too much at the house. Maybe our kids are seeing us do way too much at the house. Maybe our kids are seeing us do way too much at the house. I'm going to say this and I'm done. I'm going to raise 5 kids. Me, and I got 4 sisters. I'm next to those. And my mama, even though she was a single mom, we didn't see everything that was going on.
Yeah, all right. All right now.
Because mama respected her children enough to where we didn't see and know everything that was going on. I didn't know everything that was going on until I was older, man, and I could see it with my eyes, but she didn't see or show everything that was going on as a young person because mama knew she grew up with my grandmother, and my grandmother would take her and put her under her wings and let her know that, baby, I know you're single, but you shouldn't be bringing every man home that you meet.
All right. All right, come on, preacher.
And as a man, if you're dating a woman, and I'm going to leave you alone, but if you're dating a woman, and if she don't mention her kids, you ought to have a problem with that. Because if she ain't taking care of the one she got, what make you think she gonna take care of the one that y'all might have when y'all hook up together and get married? And since he ain't paying child support for the 5 he got now.
All right. All right.
Well, let me move on.
All right, preacher.
We're training our kids and we got to show them preparation.
All right.
There was a conclusion to the story. It says, several centuries ago, a Japanese emperor commissioned an artist to paint a bird. A number of months had passed, then several years, and still no painting was brought to the palace. Finally, the emperor became so exasperated that he went to the artist's home to demand an explanation. I asked you for a bird. Months went by. Years had gone by. Still, I have no painting of the bird. What's going on? The artist, instead of making excuses, he placed a blank canvas on the easel. In less than an hour, he completed a painting that was to become a brilliant masterpiece. When the emperor asked the reason for the delay, the artist showed him armloads of drawings of feathers, wings, heads and feet. Then he explained that all this research and study had been necessary before he could complete the painting. Wow. When we prepare our kids for life, we're preparing them from the time that they're drawing the wings, the feet, the arms now, so when they get grown, they can paint the masterpiece. Why? Because we have prepared them from now until they get grown up to be able to paint a beautiful picture. Parents, what picture do you want your children to paint when they grow up? And that picture that you want them to paint, are you preparing them right now to paint that picture? Give God a hand of praise.